All right, welcome everyone to another Franchise Empire newsletter. Excited to dive in with you guys today. We've got some good stuff that we're going to cover. So some of those items today, we're going to cover a strong resale with a manager of 14 years in place. We're going to cover Arby's. You ever wonder how much money these Arby's locations make or how much it costs to get open? I know that I have. I'm looking forward to seeing the numbers.
With my
And
Five Guys background, we used to know a lot about the annual unit volumes of those types of QSR businesses. So yes, we do.
yeah, actually, I have a funny story to tell, or at least I think it's funny, around that and Wingstop, because we talked about Wingstop last week. So remind me to hit that. Before we get started, guys, we just need to cover one quick important thing. All right, if you're new here, welcome. My name is Tarek Johnson. I'm the CEO and founder of Franchise Empire, and where we have helped, by the way, hundreds of individuals find, vet, and buy and launch money-making franchises. And I'm here with our head of brokerage, Mr. Mark Magerman. Good to see you again. Long time no see.
You too, Tarek. Thanks.
All right, so and there was just some screaming in the background, by the way. Is that you, Mark?
I'm sorry. I have my wife has our grandchildren over today watching them.
Oh,
so
okay.
I will, if I have to pause the sound, I will. But the 2-year-old doesn't really have the respect from. She doesn't respect me like I would hope she would. So we may have to deal with that. Sorry.
As a father of a 3 and 6-year-old, I know where you're coming from.
Absolutely.
All right, so let's start diving in. We'll dive into the resale first, and we actually just got word right before this started from someone on our team that there's another resale that's a quite an attractive one that we just got word of. That's not what we're covering today, but if you do not get if you want to know what it is and you want to find out if there's any franchise resales in your area, you can go to franchiseempire.com/resales, set up a call with our team, and we'll be able to check and see based on our inventory of 100 plus, which is constantly growing, if there's something available. Anyways, let's talk about this featured resale. We have some limited information on it, but this is in the overall Jacksonville, Florida area. Again, we have, out of respect for the seller and the franchisor, we keep the specifics of the business confidential until we have a very specific buyer that's reached out to us that says, hey, I'm interested, and we know has the overall financial situation where they could get qualified to buy the business. This business specifically is in the automotive and home services category, so pretty interesting. They serve both avatars and both clients. The asking price is $825,000. There is a pre-approval with an SBA lender who has looked at the financials of this business and has said, for a qualified buyer, we will lend the money for this business, with the exception of you need to have between 10 and 20% down. So you do still need to have about $80,000 to $150,000 to inject. That can come from a variety of funding sources, guys. Doesn't have to just be cash in the bank. The manager has been in place in this business for 14 years, by the way, which is pretty wild. And what's included in the sale: 8 vehicles, 5 technicians, and 2 customer service representatives. Mark, what's your initial take when you look at something like this?
The fact that the SBA has already approved it is very strong. That saves a lot of time and potential aggravation. But again, what that means is the business has been approved by the SBA, not the potential buyer. So you have to be able to have, like Tarek says, the money down, good credit score, and all the others. So that's good. The fact the biggest home run was there was a manager that's been on staff there for 14 years. That's what you call loyalty. That's really important when you're buying these resales. And again, anybody who's interested in this, you got to at some point in time have a sit down with this person, because that person may be your go-to person. That person might be somebody that you're going to offer an opportunity down the road to earn equity. And when I hear that, that jumps really high up on my list in terms of reality with these resales, because that's where the rubber hits the road. Especially when you're buying something that's been in service that long, having that person stay is critical. And 8 vehicles, 5 technicians, and 2 customer service representatives, that is a very thriving business.
Yeah, 100%. That is definitely let's see, what are some of the notes that I put down? And Mark, if you can just hit mute until you speak, that'd be awesome. In addition to Mark's comments, this is the brand is proven. Obviously, they're proven and they've been around a while, or else the franchisee couldn't have been in business. The franchisee couldn't have had a manager that was a manager of the franchise for 14 years. The current owner spends 20 to 25 hours a week in the office, by the way. So they have a manager of 14 years, and the owner still spends 20 to 25 hours a week in the office. For what the ideal candidate for this purchase would be someone who would be an owner-operator, who you would work more than 20 to 25 hours a week. This is a full-time owner role to learn the business, even if you have a manager in place. So definitely you want to be a hands-on operator, an experienced leader. I would say there's a little bit of wiggle room there. The fact that there's a manager that's been in place for 14 years, they can kind of train you, really. But again, be prepared to put 10 to 20% down combined with an SBA loan. And again, this is, according to the notes, the business has been pre-approved, which just means that the financials make sense, and that an SBA lender says, based on the financials of the business, we will lend money because we believe an owner can pay themselves and support the debt payments of this business at the same time, or else they would not issue a pre-approval for that. So that is pretty cool.
Can I add one other point to that, Tariq, if you don't mind?
Of course.
The fact that the owner is working 25 hours a week still and has owned this business for many, many years reinforces what Tariq just said about an owner-operator. This is not the kind of business that you'd want to invest in and keep your full-time job and touch base on a once in a while basis to make sure everything's going right. The owner who built this and knows everything about it is still putting in 25 hours, double that. And that's how much time you should put into this business if you're going to buy it in that first year. And again, if you're not willing to do it, then you should pass.
Totally agree. Yeah, we talk to so many amazing, potential franchise buyers that are like, hey, I'm willing to roll up my sleeves. I just need to find the right opportunity. Like, I'm willing to work super hard and give it my all. I'm not shy to hard work. And those are the sort of caliber of potential franchise buyers, really, that not just that we like to work with, that are honestly just going to be the most successful. You get out what you put in.
Absolutely. And then one other point too, and I can only speak to it from somebody that did sell a business similar to the seller of this business. And when you sell a business, it's very emotional, right? Because you're getting out of something, but you're also leaving a lot of people behind that you have loyalty towards. So back to my comment about if you're not willing to get in there and roll up your sleeves and be part of this, it's very likely that the person who's selling it wouldn't be even interested in you in the first place, right? Because they want to make sure that they're passing on this business to somebody that's going to be a good steward of that business, take care of their people. And if you're going to be absentee, they'll just move past you, because there's going to be dozens of people interested in a brand like this, Tariq. We know that, right? So if you really want to get a shot at it, make sure you're committing to it. Otherwise, you're just kind of wasting everybody else's time.
Yeah. And for anyone that might think, wow, $825,000, that seems just a tremendous amount of money, and buying a new franchise is much cheaper. Well, yes, buying a new franchise territory is definitely going to be cheaper. But if you're not familiar with the way resales work, just whether franchise resales or traditional businesses that go for sale, they're typically priced at a multiple of their profits. So if a business is priced at this much and it's been pre-approved by a lender, you can use your imagination on what kind of the bottom line might look like for a business like this. And that's the reason why it's priced that way. So typically, if you want to step into something that is producing cash flow, you want to see a higher purchase price, because most of the time a higher purchase price is going to presume that it's a multiple of some profits. Now, are there some crazy people that list their businesses at high prices that aren't doing anything and not making money? Yes, of course, there's always exceptions. But I just wanted to make sure that you guys were aware of that. I remember Mark one time a couple of years ago, our team had presented a resale to someone who said they wanted a resale, right? They said, I want a resale, because they wanted to step into something already producing some revenue. We showed them a fantastic resale that was priced at a little bit over $900,000. I think it was $950,000, and they freaked out. They were like, "That's so much money. I don't understand." And so we had to have this conversation that the high price is a good thing. And I don't think if someone's not aware of the way that they're priced and the way that they work, I'm not sure that they would realize that that's, you probably want something that's higher priced.
Yeah, I mean, we do also say that if you've never invested in a business at all, you shouldn't be buying a resale business. So if this is the first stab at trying to buy a business, this may be a little bit more overwhelming for you because of all the things that you just said, Tarek. It's not for the faint of heart. Let's call it that.
No, it's not. All right, so let's move on. We're going to celebrate a new franchise owner through Franchise Empire, which is one of the things that it's important to us to do every single week, because at the end of the day, the reason why we are in business and why we do what we do is because we believe that small businesses are the fabric of the American economy, and that by having thriving businesses, we're going to help the economy succeed. And that every day there are people that are starting businesses that are failing. So our goal is to support individuals like you in finding and simplifying the process of finding and acquiring money-making franchises. So it's important that we are sharing those stories. Mark, I think this was someone that you worked with specifically. Do you want to tell us a little bit about the experience and journey and what happened?
Sure. So Hanze lives up in Ottawa, Canada, and he's been a franchise owner in the past. He had a moving franchise that he built from scratch. Very smart guy, very hardworking, understands the models. He saw some of Tarek's content and decided it was time for him to grow his business and diversify a little bit. And he had the moving business, and he made some comments that he didn't think the franchisor lived up to all what he expected, but it was still a decent business. And he did everything right. He had a operator who was running that business for him day to day. So it freed Hanze up to look for other businesses. And we did many, many conversations. He was very deliberate. As a matter of fact, the reason I knew it was going to work out for him is when you go through the due diligence process, and as you get near the end, it's called Meet the Team Day or Discovery Day is what some of these brands use for terminology. And because Hanze lived up in Ottawa and the brand was doing their Discovery Day, and I believe it was Utah, they said, you know what, if you want to do it remotely, we understand. We'll pay for your flight, but we understand it's a long trip and, visa issues and coming into the States. And he said, no. Because if I'm going to end up doing this, I'm going to be there. I want to be there, roll up my sleeves and get really busy. So once I knew he was going to do that, it looked like it went. And he found the right brand, which I know we don't share the brands. He bought 4 territories, but he worked out a deal with them where he would fund the first 2, get that up and running, and then he had a little addendum to his franchise agreement that says in 6 months he can start the second 2. So it's going to be 4. He's going to own the whole market. He's going to be really, really successful, and I couldn't be happier for him. So his name is Hanze, Hanze. And he was one of the ones that was really gratifying for us because he knew what he wanted, looked to us because he knew we were experts in what we were. We didn't have to do much training of him because he knew exactly what it was. So I think he's going to be really successful. And I always say maybe one day I'll work for Hanze up in Ottawa. Great story.
That is awesome. What's cool to me is that some people may not realize that we work with people in Canada. I know often people ask us if we work internationally. We will work with franchise buyers in the US and in Canada. So,
yeah, which is a great point, Tar. Not every brand that offers franchises in the States offers them in Canada, but we have a very good list that does. And we also work with E2 visa candidates, which we won't get too big into that now, but that's visa programs that allow people to come and actually operate in the States. So if that fits something in your lifestyle, we'll be happy to educate you guys on that as well.
Yeah, for sure. Fantastic. Well, congratulations, Hanze, and pretty cool to hear that you owned a franchise and bought another franchise. So clearly the model and concept of franchising, is working for you and your family, which is pretty cool.
Absolutely.
Okay, franchise of the week. Let's talk about Arby's. Arby's. Before I do, so last week we covered Wingstop. If you want to see that episode, if you're watching this on YouTube, you can look at the video history, or if you're listening to the podcast, you can see the past episodes. But we covered Wingstop, and I'm in, Mark. I have this kind of small men's group that we connect once a month, and most good amount of them are business guys. Actually, what's crazy is, so one of the guys, his family own like 20 something QSRs franchises, which is like, what a small world. We show up to this men's group. Like, what do you do? Yeah. I run my family business, and we own like 26 franchises. I'm like, what? That's crazy. Meanwhile, I'm there wearing my Franchise Empire shirt. And then another guy that's in it, he raises capital and like makes acquisitions and of businesses. And he texted me the other day, and he goes, "Hey, what are your thoughts on Wingstop? I have an opportunity to buy a package of units." And I was like, we just did a newsletter on it. So I forwarded him the video. I said, fast forward to 19 minutes and something, and you'll hear my opinion on it. He was like, oh, wow.
Very serendipitous, right? That bodes well for him. He's probably going to end up owning them.
Yeah. I thought that was that was pretty funny.
That is funny.
All right, let's talk Arby's. So Arby's opened its doors 1964 in Ohio, founded by brothers Forrest and Leroy Raffle, not Leroy Jenkins. There's someone on here I know that will get that inside joke. If you've seen the video, if you know, you know. The name Arby's comes from Arby. Oh, wow. For Raffle Brothers.
I did not know that. I thought it was roast beef all along.
Wow. Even though that's what made them famous. Very, very interesting. I feel like this is going to make it to one of our internal team trivias, Mark.
Absolutely.
From the start, Arby set itself apart from burger joints by focusing on mostly roast beef sandwiches, and they became a household name, and they have their new iconic line, "We've got the meats." Mark, what's interesting is that anytime I drive by an Arby's, I don't really see anyone in the parking lot. Like, I don't know. Do you eat Arby's?
I don't. I think in a lot of ways, I'm not sure I should say this, but I think it's kind of a tired concept. I think they need some updating. They need something new and exciting. I wouldn't say it's always empty, but you don't see too many new Arby's being opened up. You don't see the brand growing. And I think if you like Arby's, you like Arby's. But I think it could use an influx of something. I think. I'm not saying it's not successful, but and they are kind of unique because they're a QSR brand that focuses on roast beef sandwiches, which makes them unique, right?
Yeah.
but yeah, a little bit tired when you walk into one. It doesn't. And again, we used to walk into them a lot when we were in the Five Guys business just to see what the competition's doing, and we always felt that competing with Arby's was a good opportunity for us.
What a nice way to say it. Oh man. Yeah, I mean, I don't eat at Arby's personally. I really don't eat fast food at all. The only fast food I eat is Chick-fil-A. And because I can get, grilled nuggets and stuff there, but their other stuff is fantastic. Actually, one of my most common breakfast stops after I go to the gym in the morning is Chick-fil-A has something called the egg white grill. And it's like a lower calorie sandwich. You've had it, Mark? Yeah. It's good for really grilled chicken and egg white. It's tasty.
Everything Chick-fil-A does is pretty good. Honestly, sure. Really, I'm not a big fried chicken sandwich, but if I'm going to eat a fried chicken sandwich, I'm eating Chick-fil-A's fried chicken sandwich. That's for sure.
Yeah, fair point. I love their sandwiches. Okay, so Arby's led the way in some surprising ways. In 1994, they became the first fast food chain to ban smoking inside of its restaurants, which is very interesting. I am old enough to remember when you were allowed to smoke indoors in most places. Actually, I grew up with my dad smoking cigars, and I grew up with my dad smoking cigars in the house, which is kind of crazy to say that was a thing, but people would smoke cigarettes in their house. And yeah, super interesting. You used to be able to smoke on planes, right? Recent years, they've leaned into the over-the-top marketing stunts, like creating a burger-shaped golf driver for Father's Day. Interesting. Today, they are part of Inspire Brands, a massive restaurant group that also owns Buffalo Wild Wings, Dunkin', Sonic, Jimmy John's, even Baskin Robbins, which Inspire operates over 33 restaurants. Pretty crazy. Now let's talk some numbers, because you guys are probably most interested in understanding, well, how much money do they cost to open? How much do these bad boys make? Well, they have 3,413 units, the combination of company-owned and franchise-owned. Most of them are franchise-owned. The initial investment ranges from $861,000 to $2.4 million to get up and open. You can see the franchise fees there, royalty of 4%, marketing of 4.2%. I'm guessing what happened there is the marketing fee was 4%, then they raised it to 4.1%, then they raised it to 4.2%. I wouldn't be surprised if we do this a year from now and it's 4.3. The point ones, when the numbers get big enough, the point ones can add up, guys.
They sure can.
Total net worth required $1 million. Total liquid assets $500,000. But I know Mark will tell you that you're not going to get rich here owning one of these locations, and so I'm guessing you're going to have a lot more capital than that.
No doubt.
Financial data. Let's see. All of their restaurants average $1.269 million in sales. 1.2. Let's see. Why is it? Oh, it's taking a long time to. I'm just noticing this thing has a lag. My goodness. I'm going to stop using this tool. Anyways, 1.269 million in average restaurant sales, which is. Those are not great averages based on the median startup costs. Well,
I think it fits right in that mid-range. I mean, if you're looking at, I just go back to Five Guys, right? And that's what Five Guys averaged about. And again, that was several years ago. But I think that's the range between, these units. I think it's between, 1 and 1.3 million average unit volume. I think that's pretty standard, Tarek.
Interesting. Yeah. But were Five Guys as expensive as $2.5 million to get up and open?
No, but I'm not saying somebody in New York City or Manhattan didn't have to pay $2.4 million to build there. So we didn't have to. That seems high.
Yeah, but a lot of them are they're standalone units.
They're standalone units, and if I remember, I don't even think they all have drive-through because they're old. Some of them don't even have drive-through capacity. So drive-through, as everybody knows, really adds to that top line revenue number.
Yeah.
I don't know. And again, I think that the 1.2 million seems about right. I mean, you just said 10 minutes ago, every time you drive by an Arby's, nobody's there. So enough people have to be there to get to 1.2 million. That's about what, 22 grand a week, 21 grand a week. Divide that up, that's $3,000 a day. So it's averaging 3 grand a day. Someone's spending $3,000 on roast beef sandwiches a day. And again, you should be able to do okay on 1.2 million. But if that's the only business that you own, and even if you manage it really well and squeeze out 6 or 7% margin on it, if it's 1.2 million, that would be what, $60,000 of income for you as an owner. There's other ways to make $60,000 that doesn't require you spending $1.5 million to build an Arby's.
Totally agree. So you can see, guys, out of the data they show, the lowest performing location does 368,000 in sales. The highest performing location, $3.9 million in sales. That's for franchise traditional. We're not going to go into the breakdown of all of the different specifics here. But what I can do for you, ladies and gentlemen, is if you wanted to look at all of these different numbers, I will drop something here in the comments where you could go on our website and see this whole article, a newsletter. And if you don't get this in your inbox on Sunday mornings, then the little ticker at the bottom of the screen will show the domain for franchiseempire.com/newsletter. Go to that website, enter your email, and you'll get these newsletters in your inbox Sunday mornings at 8 a.m. And by the way, if you're thinking, hey, I do not want to spend $1.5 million to invest in Arby's either. Actually, I'm not interested in opening an Arby's, but I just want to know how much money they make. But you are interested in maybe a lower cost franchise brand, and you're curious to know what are some high performing brands, then you can go to franchiseempire.com/check territory, and you'll be able to set up a conversation with someone on Mark's team or Mark himself, and be able to see what aligns with your skill sets, budget, and what may be available in your area. Last but not least, Tropical Smoothie. Did you guys ever look into Tropical Smoothie, Mark?
No, not specifically that brand. We did look into other brands, and we were thinking about diversifying, but not smoothies. No.
Okay. Well, the smoothie business it's one of those shiny objects for a lot of people. They get really excited. Obviously, myself included, because I owned a few. Right. But people just love to think that owning a juice and smoothie shop is the best thing in the world. And Tropical Smoothie is the leader in the category. Did you know that they had to exit for over $1 billion? The people that founded this brand?
I did not know.
Over $1 billion exit. Which blew my mind. We talk about that in the video, ladies and gentlemen. So go watch the video. We break down how much these Tropical Smoothies locations make, the average sales, the high performers, how much they cost to get open, and really answer the question, is this a good investment for you? And yeah, it's a great video. So you can watch it on YouTube, or you can listen to it on any of the podcast platforms. But a lot of people, over the years, I've gotten a lot of comments, emails, people asking about Tropical Smoothies. So I think this will be one of our more popular ones eventually. Absolutely. And then the age-old question. A lot of you are watching thinking, I don't know. Don't want to buy a franchise. Should I buy a franchise? And so you're wondering if you should. And if you're thinking, well, I'm watching content from this company, Franchise Empire, and they have franchise brokers, they're always going to tell me I should. Wrong. Most of the time, we tell a lot of people that they shouldn't. So this video is it's a clip from a longer conversation that me, Mark, and Chris on our team had. And it's a short segment kind of breaking that our conversation down on that. So go check it out. You get to hear my input. You get to hear Mark's input, who's owned over 13 franchise locations. You get to hear Chris's input, who is a franchisor, and, be able to get a more honest answer of, hey, this franchise is the right path for you. What are your thoughts on that topic briefly, Mark?
Yeah, I think sometimes, the analogy I'll use is if you're a poker player and you've got your chips and you put them all in the middle of the table, then you risk losing them or you risk winning the pot, right? So it's 50-50. But if you don't put your chips in the middle of the table, you get to keep them. So I always say that, franchising isn't for everybody, just like there's nothing that's for everybody, right? There's something that it's got to be. So when we have conversations with our candidates and sometimes we get to the conclusion that franchising isn't for them and we give them that advice with specifics, most people appreciate it because a lot of times when people come to us, Tarek, they really don't know. They are tire kicking. They're like, I think I'm interested in franchising. Very few people come to us and say, I'm going to have a franchise in the next 30 days or else. So again, we're going to give you great advice. We're very good at what we do. We're professionals. We've done this before. So, and I wouldn't say it happens a lot, maybe 1 out of 10, but if franchising isn't for you, we'll absolutely tell you why we feel it's not for you. We'll give you specific reasons, and not for nothing, but we'll also give you a couple of things you might want to work on so you can come back in a few months or a year later, and maybe it is going to be for you at that point. So that's really our job as brokers. Our job and as franchise brokers, our job isn't to make sure every single person ends up with a franchise. It's to make sure we're guiding them correctly based on what's important in their lives. And I think some people don't quite get that. When people say to us, what are you selling me today? I laugh because it's like, we're not selling you anything. So I didn't mean to go long-winded on it, but sometimes walking away and keeping the chips in your pocket is a win.
I love that analogy. I'm totally going to use it, as many of the sayings that you have, I wind up adopting. So yeah, I really like that analogy of it puts such a good visual. Like, you can put your chips in the center of the table and you could lose them or you could double them. But sometimes the best thing to do is just to keep the chips you have and don't put them there at all. And you don't risk or lose anything. And I just like that analogy overall, because owning a business is not for everyone, not just franchising. There's a lot of people online these days that say, like, yeah, no, everyone could and should be an entrepreneur. And I strongly disagree. I think there's a lot of people that should never be an entrepreneur and frankly couldn't handle it.
Right.
It's just their wiring. It's like a fish trying to climb a tree. They have skill sets, they have talents, but it's not going to be owning a business.
No, and that's a really good point, Tar, because it doesn't mean you're a failure. It doesn't mean you're not good at something. But my wife's been an ER nurse for 35 years. And she's amazing at it. I could never be an ER nurse. It doesn't mean I'm a failure. It just means my skill sets don't tie into that. So it's not. And again, that's what we really do. At the end of the day, if people ask me what I do, I say we educate potential entrepreneurs. That's really what we do. We educate them. That's what we're doing.
100%. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for tuning in. We'll see you again the same time next week. Mark, thanks for joining, and you guys have a great rest of your day and week.
Thanks, Art. Bye, everybody.
Bye.